fire. So we're going to talk about some good tips about fuel. We're not really doing anything on the cars with fuel. Here's some kind of things you need to know about fuel. And now my auto airhead, I have some auto airhead habits that like die hard, and one of them, and you can even ask Allie, is don't let your fuel run down until the gas light comes on. Okay, but I do that all the time. I like to live on the edge. I'm always like, I can make it. I can make it. I've only run out of fuel once, so I think I've got a pretty good record there. But here's what happens. You have your fuel tank. It sits in the back here that collects, it's like 16 gallons, depending on the size of the car, 12 to 16, some are bigger, even 20. It holds all your fuel. But the gas, the engine's in the front, so you need to get the fuel from the back to the front. So you do have a pump that pumps the fuel that's in the tank in the back to the front of the car. Now the pump sits on top of the tank. And what happens as your gas gets low and low and low is you have little particles or sediments at the bottom of the tank. All gas has little sediments in it. Now you do have a fuel filter that filters those out. So that whole rule of like, don't get gas first thing in the morning or when they're pumping it in because of all that's like, that doesn't matter. You still have a filter that will filter that stuff out anyway. But what happens as it gets lower, right, is you start to suck up more of those particles into the fuel pump and through the fuel filter, and it will wear out your fuel pump more, right? So if you start to pick up some of those particles and settlement at the bottom because it's getting too low, the pump will pump those up, and it'll cause the pump to wear out. So you'll try to turn on the car and it won't start. And a lot of times we'll go and we'll like kick it, we'll use a broom or something, and we'll kick the gas tank because it'll kind of make the pump start working a little bit. But that's how you know, right? You probably need a fuel pump. Very expensive to do fuel pumps. They're not cheap. Probably at least $800 to $1,000 at least, right? Now they will eventually fail whether you're keeping a quarter of a tank of gas all the time or not. They will eventually fail, but they will wear out faster if you're letting it run really low, okay? So that's a good tip to have about gas. Another good tip is you don't need to top off your gas when you're at the gas station. So another thing about fuel is you have not just like liquid fuel inside your tank in the back, you also have fuel vapors, and they sit on top of the liquid fuel. Now what happens is, remember we talked about air and tires, and when it's warm they like expand? Same thing for fuel. When it's warm out, the fuel will start to expand. And what happens is those fuel vapors are pushed out of the gas tank as it starts to expand. Now, you cannot leak fuel vapors out into the environment. It's bad, very, very hazardous to the environment where all fuel is. So you have a system that collects the fuel vapors and pumps it to the front. What happens as you're getting gas, right, and it automatically clicks off? It has a lever in there telling you, I'm full, I'm good. You can stop pumping me, but I know for me, I'm like, no, get as much gas. I hate pumping gas. I will drive to Jersey just to get gas, right? I'm pumping, putting more as much in there. What you're doing is you're filling it up with too much liquid, and then when it starts to expand, the fuel vapors will push out, but then the liquid fuel will also push up into that collector. It's called a charcoal canister that collects the fuel vapors. And if you get liquid fuel in there, it damages it. And you'll need, your check engine light will pop on, and you'll need to replace the charcoal canister, and that's at least $600, $700. A lot of times we have to buy that part from the dealer. And so you want to make sure that you're not overfilling your tank. Once it clicks off and says, I'm done, you're done, okay? It's called a charcoal canister. That's in the book, in the emissions section of the book. It lists the parts in the emission system. Okay, very expensive. And it's crazy. I mean, it's good because the emission system, and like I said, the check engine light is there to help us to stop polluting the environment, but it's not, none of this stuff is kind of required to run the car, and it's very expensive to fix, right? But it's more about the environment. But let's talk about a way that you can damage your parts less and be greener with the environment. So I talked about RFA a little bit in the beginning, right? Renewable Fuels Association, they're our platinum sponsor. And because of them, I've been able to hire other women to help me do these workshops and reach more women because they became a platinum sponsor. And they wanted me to help educate drivers about a renewable fuel, ethanol. Now, what I want you to know about ethanol is all gas right now, wherever you go, has 10% ethanol in it. Ethanol is made from corn, which means it's renewable, right? Because we can grow corn and we can make ethanol out of it, and we add it to our oil or the fuel. Fuel is oil, right, which is not renewable. It's fossil fuels. And that allows us, you know, we can drive with 10% ethanol. Now, there's another mix of ethanol called E15, right? Ethanol within 10% is 90% fossil fuels, 10% ethanol. When you have E15, it's 15% ethanol, and then 85% of the oil or the fossil fuels. So you have more ethanol in there. What this means is it's more renewable, right? So it's greener for the environment because they use corn to make ethanol. It also saves you money because it's giving you alternative fuels to use at the pump, which causes the price to drop. Yesterday, Allie and I went and shot a video at the Wawa up on Roosevelt Boulevard, and it was 12 cents cheaper a gallon for the E15 gas. And I created a video just showing how easy it is to use and put in your car. You shouldn't see any difference in how your car drives using E15, right? And it's just cheaper. The only issue you may have is not being able to find it. They don't have it readily available everywhere. We had to go all the way up to Roosevelt Boulevard. In fact, we saw a couple of people there that told us that were using it. They had to drive from Center City because they come all the way here because it's the only gas station in the area. They have a lot of Sheets have them though. So if you're a place with Sheets, they have them, right? Another advantage to using E15 is it's made in America, right? So it's creating jobs here in the US for Americans that are harvesting the corn and using it to make ethanol. It's also better for your emissions parts. They'll fail less using more ethanol. So there's advantages for using ethanol. If you see it the next time at the gas pump, you're going to pay less, right? It's better for the environment. It's better for your emissions parts on your systems. So definitely check it out if you see it. It's not really in PA too much, but you can go to the website. I gave you guys a little card there where you can get the QR code. I wrote a blog about the benefits of using ethanol and RFA. If you go to their website, it'll give you a map that shows you the gas stations that have E15. There is another.
Very low. I've seen it on the Department of Transportation site as well.
Yeah.
It's like maybe less than a handful.
Yeah, they're in this. Well, they're
right.
So there's a little bit not there's a little bit more like in the South and like in the Midwest.
Why is it not more popular?
It's the government.
I was going to say industry, oil lobbying.
So they're a nonprofit. RFA is a nonprofit, right, that is trying to educate drivers because they want drivers to tell, the federal government, we need more E15 at gas pumps, right? And so that's one of the reasons like you don't see it as much. But it's an alternative, right, that you can do right. You don't have to do anything else with the car. You don't need to buy an electric vehicle, and it's a little bit more greener. Like I said, it's American made. There's another ethanol called E85, which is 85% ethanol, 15% oil or the fossil fuel. But your car has to be designed for that. It's called flex fuel. I've seen like Fords with flex fuels in them, and it's even cheaper, because it's renewable, so it's even cheaper. So the more renewable we can get, the cheaper that we can get. So we want more of this, right? But like I said, it's about lobbying.
Is it cheaper because it's made cheaper? I mean, or the process is cheaper?
Yes, because it's renewable, but also because it gives like competition with the different prices of oil, which will drive the price down.
Which are not so bad.
Yeah. So check out RFA, and like I said, and let us know if you do use ethanol. I took a little video, so you'll see that if you follow us on social media, just showing how easy. It's just the same as getting gas. It's just pushing the button for E15 versus unleaded or superior or premium. And since we're on that topic, let's talk about the difference between unleaded and premium. And if you need premium